Seeing it's 3 o'clock, we'll start the study session for the Board of Directors, Mission Springs Water District for March 12th. Dory, could I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Director Meyerhoffen?
Here.
Director Martin?
Here.
Director Sewell?
Here.
Vice President Griffith?
Present.
And President Duff?
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
And since we have quorum, we can skip number 3. We'll also skip number 4 until Monday. And do we want to do rules of procedure today or on Monday?
It's up to you.
Monday will be fine then. So we can move to the segment of public input. If there's anyone online or present for public input, this is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Dory, are there any members of the public online?
President Duff, not online.
And I don't see any present either. That will take us to employee recognition, General Manager.
We'll handle that item on Monday.
Okay, great. And that takes us to action items. Number 8, Mission Creek Subbasin Annual Report for water year 2024 through 2025. It is recommended to receive and file the Mission Creek Subbasin Annual Report for water year 24-25 prepared for the Coachella Valley Water District, Desert Water Agency, and Mission Springs Water District by WSP Environmental and Infrastructure, Inc. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. This particular item, there is the report in your packet. Our consultant will be here on Monday to give a full report about the document as well as the PowerPoint and explain, have any questions, but are there any questions today that we'd like to discuss?
Director Martin? Any questions for today?
No.
Vice President?
No.
Director Martin? Okay, I think we all are going to wait for the presentation.
Okay.
So we'll move on to number 9, contract amendment number 9 with West Yost for regulatory reporting, permitting, and design services. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to execute contract amendment number 9 for West Yost to provide regulatory reporting services to prepare the Horton wastewater treatment plant, total dissolved solids annual report, and permitting and design services to decommission monitoring well number 1 and reconfiguration of the Horton wastewater treatment plant percolation ponds in the amount of $56,100, increasing the contract from $419,566,000 to $475,666. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Our engineering manager, Eric Weck, will have this item. Eric?
Yes, good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Thank you, General Manager Macy. Item 9 of this afternoon's agenda pertains to a contract amendment with West Yost Consulting Company that currently provides professional environmental and engineering services for the district. Amendment 9 will allow West Yost to provide the district with compliance reporting that will address the decommissioning of monitoring well 1, which lies within the footprint of the proposed Critical Services Center. The amendment will also allow for design services to be provided and for reconfiguring the percolation ponds at the Horton wastewater treatment facility. And finally, this amendment will allow West Yost to prepare the required total dissolved solids work plan for the Horton wastewater treatment plant, and that'll be drafted and submitted annually to the Colorado Region Water Quality Control Board. Are there any questions?
We were a little bit distracted here, Eric, so I apologize. But I had a question regarding the monitoring well number 1. What was the date that monitoring well number 1 was put in? Or how old is it? I'm just curious.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't have that date off the top of my head. I can certainly get you that date by Monday, unless someone else knows that answer.
It's just a completely curiosity-based question. Over 30 years old. Kind of a historic little, was that when they first started having us do monitoring wells? Was that when the law required them?
I didn't know if you wanted to answer that, General Manager, but I can take care of it. So our current waste discharge requirements, which is our permit to operate the Orton plant, has a up gradient and two down gradient monitoring wells for the percolation ponds. So recently with West Jost, and I say recently over the past 2 years, we have been doing a nitrogen study and a TDS control plan. So one of the things that they determined based off of the nitrogen control study is that the upgradient well number one, monitoring well one, is not a sufficient upgradient. So that which began the process of West Yost looking for a good location. We were able to, if you recall, we brought to the board the award of a contract for MW1A, and that is on one of our properties off La Mesa. So they determined based off the report, the Regional Water Quality Control Board approved that report as that location, and we've drilled that. I forget when we actually whether the notice of completion is on this agenda
It's
or
on this agenda, yes.
Okay, thank you. So the notice of completion for that well is on this agenda. So essentially, of the three monitoring wells that have been in place for a number of decades, recently through an in-depth study, they determined the upgradient well was not a true upgradient. It was representing almost exactly as downgradient. So we relocated it. Why we are going to also be abandoning this well, one, it's no longer needed, but two, so that we can accommodate some of the footprint for the Critical Services Center.
And that was going to be my next question. So the footprint will go over where that well.
So the work that's being contemplated in the item that's before you is to reconfigure the pond so that we can actually take the most northwesterly pond, Pond 7, fill in part of it for the footprint of the Critical Services Center. And within that same footprint is the monitoring well.
Okay. Thank you very much for all that clarification on that. Thank you. Any questions or comments on this side? All right. Moving right along. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
That'll bring us to item number 10, award of contract for Little Morongo and 19th Avenue Res BCT solar site repairs. It's recommended to authorize the general manager to award a contract for the construction of the Little Morongo and 19th Avenue Res BCT solar site repairs to Photovoltaics, sorry, California PVCA. I practiced that too. Still butchered it. Apologize. The lowest responsible and responsive bidder in the amount of $295,229.27 plus a 10% contingency for a total of $324,752.20. The augment capital job number 11900 and augment by $32,000 for the total project budget of $331,881 to do all things necessary to complete the project. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Members of the board, I'll ask our Director of Operations, Danny Flynn, to take this item. Danny?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff, members of the board. I'd like to start off with just some of the history and remind us how we got to where we are today. As you all know, we have been dealing with our existing solar sites, first with the SunPower bankruptcy, and then falling off with their operations and maintenance. Some of the components of that site, as we've driven by, has shown that the tracking system is no longer in place. Over the past year, we've contemplated an RFP to do the O&M agreement so that we can have that back in place. And what we decided was to actually repair it to its full operational capability, which in January, staff brought to you a budget augmentation for this project. We recently have done a solicitation of bids. It was originally supposed to close on February 11th. We didn't receive any bids. We did get some feedback that they ran out of time. So we did continue through an addendum process. We continued the bidding period to February 16th. The district did receive one bid. It is from PVCA. As you recall, PVCA was the company that's been helping us since the beginning. One of the things that staff did is we actually received a proposal from PVCA, but it just didn't seem to be the right thing to bring just a single source type bid to the board. So we bid it out. And I would say, fortunately for the district, PVCA is the contractor that submitted. So with that, we are asking the board, and with that proposal, they were the only, in this case, lowest responsive bid. It does require us to amend or augment the budget, the capital budget, to cover not necessarily the cost of the work, but the contingency, and then also to allow for staff time to manage that project. So staff is requesting that you authorize the general manager to execute the contract. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Director Marhoffen,
Yes.
any questions? Director Sewell?
Yes, just this will just be to get it back up to completely tip-top shape, but not the ongoing maintenance. That will,
Correct. So we have done repairs to get some of the solar arrays operational. The bigger thing is that we put in the communication so that we can start monitoring it on the portal. And that was where PPCA helped us. But this will take this site and make it just as it did from day one. The part that we would need to understand is long-term O&M is still required. They're going to clean it. They're going to maintenance it. It's going to have some other repairs in the future. Hopefully not to this level. This is something that we're going to work to prevent in the future is we weren't getting the maintenance out of the expected maintenance from the subsidiary company, which was Total Energies. And because of that, some of the area should have been stowed earlier before it turned into like larger repairs. So they're going to come in, make all the repairs, get this back up to full operation.
and the panels, I'm assuming are probably 20 years, so we have maybe another 12 years left on them, hopefully. I guess my question is,
That's a tough one to answer, actually. So
getting this back up and running should hopefully last the life of what we're expecting out of those panels.
So if we incur wind damage, that area is susceptible to wind. But if something were to have a malfunction, I think what you're asking is, do they still have the capability of producing the energy for the duration of the 20 years? From what we're being told, yes. From the analysis that was done by Kenwood Energy, they're saying that it's in our best interest to go ahead and get this site back up and running. We lose roughly 20 to 30% by having a non-tracking system, which it was designed to be tracking. So that's the biggest thing. There are some cracks on some of the equipment that they have to repair. Some of the the operators that make it track, they have to, because they're proprietary. So there's some extra work to be able to do that. So when it's all said and done, the site will track, it'll start producing, and there's nothing indicating that we're not going to generate the same energy that we've been generating. Yes, there will be some degradation. And unfortunately, because we're still working through that the potential litigation, whether there's a performance guarantee or not. But at this point in time, we're looking to get the site operational and then maintain it. It doesn't guarantee that we're not going to have any future repairs. Minor repairs we expect. We've had them since day one. But anything that is going to lead up to something like this, we're hoping to avoid.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Have you checked with another company about replacing those solar panels to get something more efficient? They're already 10 years old. Every year they seem to be getting about 20% more efficient as time goes on with the panels.
They do. They answer that question no, because that wasn't part of the scope. The scope was to determine whether there's value in restoring the site. And based off of our energy consultants, who the experts are, they are the experts. They recommended going with the full repairs. Yes, 20 years from now, 13 or 15 years from now, they may be. It's like we've talked about since the beginning. Every 5 years seems that new technology comes out, but at this point in time, they're recommending, based on the fact that we have essentially zero cost into this, to go ahead and repair it.
Anything further?
The tracking system will last for a long, long time. I don't see that really changing, but the actual panels themselves will continue to get better. So that's why I was asking the question. We're already 10 years into this. So yeah, I'm all for doing the tracking and getting that part of it all fixed up. But in the future, maybe we can think about how we can replace those panels to get better performance out of it.
Certainly, we can speak with our consultant about that. Right now, there's doesn't seem to be a concern with the panels and what they can produce, but there is a concern with the tracking, because that is the malfunction currently.
Director Norton,
No.
Vice President?
What's the timeline to completion? I didn't see that anywhere.
In the contract that's part of attachment A, it shows 120 days.
How many?
120 days.
Okay.
And just for anything else, sorry.
No.
Just for continuity in community message, when we talked about this last, you were able to tell us how much they were underperforming, what the percentage was. And in the general manager's report, the bill for February, which I'm assuming was for January's electric to SCE was $149,354. What percentage of the repairs being done, bringing it back up to that 85%? How much money are we looking at saving? I know we talked about it before when we get that back up and running at its full capacity.
I don't recall exactly. I can bring that to you on Monday, but I do recall that spending the cost to bring it up to full operation had a 2.5 to 3 year payback. Am I correct in that?
2 years is what I was remembering. I just wasn't 100%.
Yeah, I erred on the,
My
on the
memory
higher end of
is-
that. I think it was 2 years, but
Okay.
I was thinking 2.5 to 3 to be safe.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
Any questions from the public?
No, President Duff, not online.
And I realize I forgot to ask that on the last agenda item. So Dory, please feel free to interrupt me if anyone raises their hand, okay?
Sure. Right now, it's just employees online.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move along unless there's anything else from the staff. Okay. So that'll bring us to number 11, award of contract for the GQPP AD 15 area M2 sewer construction and water line replacement project. It's recommended to authorize the general manager to award a contract for the construction of the GQPP AD 15 area M2 sewer construction and water line replacement project to WECA Inc., the second lowest responsible and responsive bidder in the amount of $19,817,666 plus a 10% contingency of $1,981,767 for a total of $21,799,433, and to do all things necessary to complete the project and augment the capital project budget by $12,345,000. General Manager.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. I'll ask our engineering manager, Eric Weck, to provide a presentation on this item. Eric?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Item 11 of this afternoon's agenda is about awarding the M2 septic to sewer conversion project to WECA Incorporated. On January 20th, earlier this year, the district solicited construction bids for the area M2 sewer and water line replacement project, and a total of 8 bids were received. The lowest bidder, Gentry General Engineering, was the apparent lowest bidder, but after analyzing their bid proposal and reviewing their supporting documentation, and after legal review, staff determined their bid was non-responsive. The second lowest bid was received from WECA Incorporated, and when we reviewed their bid, we found that they provided all the required bid documentation with a bid amount of $19,817,667. Knowing the bid and the contingency from WECA would equate to $21,799,433, and the current available budget is about $10,655,000. District staff will reach out to the state and coordinate with their representatives to augment the project budget by $12,345,000. Staff will actively pursue a project augmentation with the state and update the board of directors with any information as it becomes available in future board meetings. General Manager Macy, are there any additional clarifications that you think that should be added?
No, not at this time.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
Are there any questions?
Director Myhoffen? Director
Yes, I'm just a little How does it work with the possible funding from the state since we don't have a confirmation that they're going to approve that difference? Are we on the hook if we approve this come Monday and the state somehow says we're not going to cover that additional?
No, is what we would do is we would then work with the contractor to remove a section of the project, if you will,
To just that?
just not and only cover the parts that we have money for or the grant funding for. So from that perspective, it would be over 25% of the project. Therefore, we would have to go through a negotiation project to have a rather large deduction in sewer pipe install.
Would we still, I guess that's all to be determined probably, but would we still be doing the water lines as well if we didn't receive the additional funding for a smaller section? Or
Exactly. When we start going through the process, if we're not opening the road in those locations, we won't be installing the water line.
okay.
Director Martin?
Yeah, question. With the transition of 400 septic tanks being connected to parcels with new sewer lines, I'm kind of curious as to, do we have an estimate of approximately how many septic tanks remain after this transition in our jurisdiction?
In the total system,
Yeah, all park it.
roughly 2,000.
Left still? Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Vice President? Nothing? All right. Piggybacking a little bit off of Director Sewell's question, can you elaborate on what parts of the project will have the priority? Is it the trunk of it that would get the priority of the funding depending on the state coming back? Just a little more clarification on that.
What I'd like to do is bring back on Monday an exhibit that would show you where that line would be,
Okay.
and then some visual perspective so you know. In reality, starting at the bottom and working up, it would be the top sections that would be removed. But we'll go through and put together an exhibit for Monday.
And any indication from the state that this is a no-go on their perspective? It seems like they've been entertaining a lot of the back and forth. Is that still happening?
Last time we were up in Sacramento, I did meet with the project manager, and she informed me that not only would she be looking at this particular project, but also the road going around the wastewater treatment facility. So right now they are considering that the request of not only the additional funds available for M2, but also the road going around the wastewater treatment facility.
Well, that is very hopeful. Thank you. Is there anything else from the board? Anything from the public, Dory? Anyone? We're going to move
No,
right
ma'am.
on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Number 12, notice of completion for monitoring well 1A project. It's recommended to accept the Horton monitoring well 1A project as complete and authorize the release of retention money held for ABC Lioven Drilling, Inc. in the amount of $7,279, 35 days after filing the notice of completion. General Manager Macy?
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. Eric Wecker, Engineering Manager, will present on this item. Eric.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Item 12 of this afternoon's agenda pertains to the completion of monitoring well 1A. At the September board meeting last year, the board of directors awarded the monitoring well 1A project, monitoring well project to ABC Lioven for the contract amount of $171,655, which included a 10% contingency. The project scope of work was to abandon the existing monitoring well as it was no longer usable, and also construct a new monitoring well that would allow the district to monitor groundwater movement and total dissolved solids. The contractor started work in early January of this year and completed all of the necessary work in less than a month, including decommissioning of the old well, the construction of the new well, and installation of a submersible sampling pump and other above ground well improvements. Of note, the contractor completed all of the contracted work with 0 change orders, and there was no significant construction issues encountered on this project. Finally, the contractor completed the work under budget and did not use any of the contingency monies. Staff would recommend the board direct staff to submit the necessary paperwork for recordation of the notice of completion for the project. Are there any questions?
Director Martin? Vice President?
No questions, but give these guys a good Yelp review. They're their only contractor we've ever had that hasn't used their contingency. So thank you.
Absolutely, will do.
Director Marhoffen? Director Sloan? I'd like to add to Vice President's comments. You used several of my very favorite words. And I just hope that more contractors can try to achieve such a status.
Not
Thank
only
you very much.
not only was it the contractor, it was a great management team and support team in the field as well. I'll pass it on, ma'am.
Thank you, and thanks to all. Anything further from the board? And I don't think we have anyone else on the call. We'll just move right along. Let's see here. Number 13, review and adopt the updated MSWD strategic plan. It is recommended that the board adopt the updated Mission Springs Water District strategic plan, which builds on the past year's successes and provides guidance for the future. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Members of the board, I'll ask our Assistant General Manager, Marion Champion, to present on this item. Marion?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Today, I just have a quick update for you. We adopted our strategic plan back in March of 2024, and then we updated it again in March of 2025. Last month in February, during our board workshop, I provided an update with accomplishments of the past year. Today, I'm here to bring back several changes, or a few changes for March 2026. Some of our accomplishments of the past year include changes to the industrial discharge ordinance, adoption of the water and sewer master plans, and the subsequent financial master plan and cost of service study. Other accomplishments include the beginning implementation of our new ERP system, progress made on the Critical Services Center, expansion of our customer service training, and community engagement, along with various infrastructure updates like our new solar facilities, well rehabs, our designed reservoir rehabs, and dozens of other steps that we've taken throughout the past year to strengthen our organization and fulfill our mission to provide, protect, and preserve our precious resources. As I mentioned, we have just a few things that we'd like to add to the report for 2026. And that specifically is under SMART goal number 2, water supply. I have added into page 18 of the plan some additional language related to our recycled water program. This is detailed again on page 18 of the plan under the new section 2.4. And under that, we would develop and advance a district-wide recycled water program to diversify Mission Springs Water District's water supply portfolio by securing external funding, advancing project design, and positioning the district for construction readiness in support of long-term groundwater sustainability and regulatory compliance. Some of the key performance measures include solicit and pursuing grant funding, advancing engineering designs to 30% or greater, establishing the program scope and phasing strategy, coordinate regulatory and environmental readiness, and integrating recycled water into our long-term water supply planning. Again, this is the primary change for the plan this year, and I'm open to any questions or additions or changes from the board. Thank you.
Director Martin. Vice President.
Good job.
Thank you.
I'll ditto that. Fantastic. I looked at this.
President Duff, your mic, please.
Thank you so much. Getting used to that. I will ditto everything the Vice President said. I also had to admit I was surprised. I'm like, I thought for sure that was in there. So glad that we've captured this and can add this to the focus. And I think it's very well timed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else further from the board before we move on? Anything more from staff?
No.
All right. Discussion items. Number 14, administration building update.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. I just want to give a quick update on the building. The project is currently out for bid. We did have a pre-bid job walk with potential contractors yesterday. Renewal Clark and staff are receiving questions and responding to those questions. So far, everything has gone in the right direction. We did have one request talking about possibly extending the construction schedule to be 15 months, which was lower than I think we were always talking about 18 months, but the contractors seem to feel that 15 months is more adequate. So we may have the building available to us a little bit sooner than we thought. The bid opening will occur on April 2nd, next month. That concludes our report.
Fantastic. Any questions from the board, Director Martin?
I have a comment or question in general about all of the different projects that we have that are out to bid, and that is, what's to prevent a company for intentionally putting out a low bid just to get the contract, knowing full well that's going to cost more than that? How do we, screen those out or deal with those companies that are doing that?
Fortunately, we have not had a contractor come in and do something like that.
All the do that we know of.
Correct. But if they do come in and do something like that and try to grossly underbid a project, we'll go through our due diligence as we normally have and have the bids reviewed. And if we identify something like that, we'll just make sure that their prices, they feel comfortable with their prices. And then if they do, then we'll move forward with the lowest bid and hopefully save the district some financial impacts.
Okay, it still leaves a lot of territory for somebody to sweeten the pot for them. I just guess that we have to scrutinize those.
There are several assurances that folks do not do that, such as a performance bond. They have to bond for the amount of their bid. And if they do grossly underbid something, then we'll call in their performance bond and actually hold them to that price and move the project forward towards construction using that performance bond. So there are things in place that we can work with a contractor. If it is grossly underbid and they want to walk away from the project, we do have a performance bond that would then take that over and move that forward. So we do have certain assurances as part of the bidding process to make sure that doesn't happen.
All right, thank you.
Vice President?
I'll be happy when this is moved forward.
Directors?
Did we have a good turnout yesterday of contractors?
Yes.
Eric, go ahead.
Yes, sir. We received several. We met with 6 general contractors, and there were a few subs that were also on site. We went through the pre-bid agenda, walked around the site, and a couple questions were asked here and there. So they actually visually saw the site, and yeah, there was some interest, which is good.
Yeah, thank you.
Director Martin?
I'm glad to see we're finally going out to bid with this and getting it done. How are you coming with your plan on moving things around when this does happen?
That is something we have started to talk through. We have not made any decisions of how we're going to reorganize staff, if you will, to accommodate cleaning, getting the corporate yard available for construction.
Good. So you are looking at it.
Yes.
I figured you were, but I just had to ask.
Anything else from the board or staff?
No.
All right. Moving along to number 15, groundwater protection program update. General Manager.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. In reality, item 11 was the M2 project. That is the update. So moving forward with the construction on M2.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board on that?
Nope.
All right. And number 16, hexavalent chromium update. General Manager.
We are going to present on that on Monday.
Okay. And do we have anything from the consent agenda that we want to pull today from anyone on the board? That would be the approval of minutes for the February 4th, 12th, and 17th meetings, as well as the register of demand. Anyone want to pull that today? All right. All right. Seeing none. Is there any presentation or anything on any information from the staff on that?
No.
Okay, great. And then reports. Does anyone want to do their report today on the director's reports?
Monday for me.
Monday. Okay. And comments from the general manager.
In your packet, you'll have the general manager's report. Will be available to answer any questions, but I'll also ask our accounting manager, Skylar Albury, to come up to provide the finance report. Skylar? All right, thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, members of the board. I am reporting on the district financial summary year to date from July 1st, 2025 to January 31st, 2026. You will see that operating revenues of 23.9 million are well over the budgeted amount of 12.8 million. And this is due to 11.4 million in pre-treatment non-compliance fees, which may or may not be negotiated down in the future. Without those non-compliance fees, we would be in line with both the budget and last year actuals. Our operating expenses of 12.9 million are under budget, under the budget amount of 16.4 million by 3.4 million, and that is due to lower costs in electricity, outside services, materials, and legal costs than expected. Our non-operating revenues, which consist of property taxes, grant revenues, and investment incomes, totals 4.3 million, a little bit under the budget of 4.8 million, and that is mainly due to the timing of property taxes. Our non-operating expenses were a total 397K to the budgeted amount of 623K, and the lower amount is due to lower interest expenses than expected. All right, so that you will see the debt service ratio has jumped quite a bit of 17.10 as opposed to 3.37 last year, and that is because the payoff of the $15 million line of credit with Wells Fargo. So we only have about 4 million left in total outstanding debt now, so most of our debt has been paid off at the moment. So our investment returns are also positive compared to last year, 2.66% as compared to 1.31%. Leaving us at a total cash of 72.3 million as opposed to 73.3 million last year. And after the $15 million payoff of Wells Fargo is positive. Then that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Director Martin, Vice President? Director Marhoffen?
You got enough light there to read that?
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
All right.
All right. Great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the information.
Next, I would ask our Assistant General Manager, Marion Champion, to provide a public affairs report.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon again, members of the board. Today, I have a short PowerPoint presentation that highlights some of the work of the Public Affairs Office in the past month. Additional information is available in your packet. While February was a short month, it also had its share of action. Some of the more notable events included the Aqua State Ledge Symposium, which included Assemblymember Blanca Rubio, and the CASA DC Forum, which featured Congressman Lou Correa, who represents California's 46th Congressional District. Both legislators provided insights into the current legislative climate in California and at the federal level. MSWD also participated in the Urban Water Institute's spring conference, where we heard about new innovative solutions for the water industry and how negotiations are going for the Colorado River. Closer to home, MSWD also participated and sponsored the DHS Rotary and Women's Club events, including the Rotary's four-way speech competition for local high school students and the DHS Women's Club Fashion Show, which was hosted by KESQ meteorologist Patrick Evans, who helped raise funds for local high school seniors. MSWD staff also hosted several tours in the past month. One, which I spoke about last month, was the CV Water Counts Academy tour, which was the culmination of a month-long learning experience for local thought leaders. This year's Academy's attendees learned about our valley's water resources, including groundwater, imported, and recycled water. MSWD staff presented information on backflow and cross-connection needs and on the cost of water and how rates are determined. The program finished up with a tour of the West Valley infrastructure, in which our Nancy Wright wastewater treatment team earned high marks from the participants. Of all of the stops along the tour, the Nancy Wright facility had an average of 5.0 out of 5.0, the highest of all three stops. And I quote, "The Mission Springs Reclamation Facility was my favorite tour spot because of all the information they provided." Others specifically commended wastewater treatment operators Annie Grenett and Ron Ishikawa for their amazing ability to make bugs and sludge so interesting. Thank you. I'm also happy to report that this week we had some very successful employee and public infrastructure tours. Attendees went behind the scenes to learn about MSWD's production and wastewater facilities, and in total, we hosted 3 tours totaling more than 50 visitors. So far, the public surveys have been very positive, with most attendees responding that they learned more than they expected about the water and wastewater systems. We're still collecting survey responses, but so far, we've heard a couple of great comments. First, the tour was great. Everyone was friendly, helpful, and knowledgeable. It was a very honest tour. Everything was as transparent as could be. Very fast responses and direct answers to everyone's questions. And like I said, we are continuing to receive information from tour participants. We sent that survey out late yesterday, and we've already received several responses. Looking at our upcoming events, we have several important events coming up next month, including the CSDA and CGC lobbying days in Sacramento and the CWEA annual conference. We will also have a special Big Heart ceremony on April 16th. Our very own programs and public affairs specialist, April Scott, will be honored as the MSWD Person of the Year. April plays a key role in strengthening the connection between the district and the Desert Hot Springs community. Through her leadership and guidance on the public tours, educational programs, conservation campaigns, and community events, April consistently helps residents better understand water resources, infrastructure, and the district's commitment to transparency and service. Her work goes beyond professional responsibility. As a member of the community she serves, she brings a genuine personal commitment to every outreach effort, whether coordinating educational presentations or supporting local events. She always has care for her community, and it's evident in both in the quality of her work and her relationships that she builds. Next, I did want to highlight several CTE or Career Technical Education events that we have attended during the past month, including a Water World event held at Cal State San Bernardino, a joint regional CTE advisory meeting hosted by 3 of the CV unified school districts, and the One Future event that highlighted several recent scholarship recipients from throughout the Coachella Valley. These events continue to be very important for us. By being an active participant, we not only get to hear about the advancements coming into the classrooms, but we also get to work with our educational partners to shape tomorrow's workforce and voice our needs as a water provider. And speaking of classrooms, we have several events in the next 2 weeks in our local schools, including March 19th, we'll be at the Desert Hot Springs High School Unity in the Community. We will have both English and Spanish speakers there between 5 and 7 p.m. On March 24th, we also have another evening event from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at Two Bunch Elementary School for their literacy night. Again, we'll have English and Spanish speakers since this will be a family event. Later in the month, we have a couple of mix of field and admin staff. On March 25th at Painted Hills Middle School, we'll be attending their career day. On March 25th, earlier in that same day, we'll be at Cabot Yurtza Elementary, and we'll have staff share their career journeys with the students through 15-minute presentations. And last but certainly not least, on March 26th at Bella Vista Elementary, we will be principal for the day. Lead field operations technician Julio Martinez will be there sharing his expertise with the students. Also, in case any of you have seen posts about what's next for DHS on social media lately, I wanted to provide you with a brief overview of the project. Using grant funds obtained through CVAG, the City of Desert Hot Springs has retained Engineering Resources of Southern California, or ERSC, to prepare a feasibility study for wastewater improvements needed to promote affordable housing. Specifically, the study examines existing infrastructure conditions downtown and along the Palm Drive to identify potential connection points for the future. MSWD was named as a stakeholder since any new infrastructure will be an extension of our system. ERSC will be conducting 2 public surveys and holding 2 public events at DHS City Hall. The purpose is to acquire data on affordable housing conditions and needs in the region. Information is provided on the project website, what's next, deserthotsprings.com. And at the city's suggestion, ERSC will be in attendance at the DHS Little League opening day this Saturday to distribute postcards and encourage participation in the survey at the public event. They have also done a series of social media postings, which again, some of you may have seen. They've also asked MSWD to help spread the word about the surveys, which we will be doing in the coming weeks. We will also have someone at the workshop, and we will have a representative in the room there who can listen in on what is being discussed. I mentioned our educational and our city partnerships, but I also wanted to say that we are continuing to focus on our existing customers. In last month's insert, focused on water quality, and this coming March insert will focus on rates and our Help to Other program. We are also ramping up our leak campaign, which also happens to coincide with next week's nationally recognized Fix a Leak Week. During the next couple of months, you will see our Leaks Happen campaign being spotlighted on our paid and non-paid social media, billboards, advertising. In addition to promoting our portal and setting leak alerts, we are also providing customers with a checklist to help them identify and chase down potential leaks in their homes. We're also providing toilet tap tests, which can be used to help spot a slow leak in your toilet. And that concludes my report for this month. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Any questions, Director Martin?
No.
Vice President?
Nope.
Director Sewell?
Great job.
Director Meyerhoffen?
None.
Okay. I did want to just circling into the general manager's report, and I had marked it and I'm trying to find it here. But when you were talking about fixing the leaks, and in our report, it talked about how many leaks have been repaired. And I hope that public takes a moment and checks out the maintenance and the various different, here it is, the various different parts of the general manager's report that really do show what we're doing and where. But it, under the service orders, it specifically talked about district side leak investigations and customer side leak investigations. And for the month of February, MSWD received 5 calls. 3 of them were on us and 2 of them were on the resident. And so many times residents are afraid to call because their assumption is that it's always going to be their fault. This is proof right here. It's not always the case. Call, let us come look, let us come take a look and fix those leaks. Thank you very much. And that'll bring us to the last portion of our meeting, director's comments and requests for future agenda items. We can do this today and we can do this again on Monday. It's up to you guys. Director Martin, do you have anything?
Yes, I'm going to be attending the CAWIA conference up in Sacramento. And before I got the agenda items for the entire conference and everything, I was contemplating attending the full day of sessions on Tuesday. Well, as it turned out, I'm not. I'm only attending the I think 2 late afternoon events that I'm going to be attending. But if I had been planning on there, it was pointed out to me that it has not been approved that we get a travel day. And I'd like to see a policy put forward on when a travel day is appropriate and when it's not. When you have a full schedule the first day of the conference and it's up in Sacramento, it seemed to me that you get the hotel room the night before and also travel day getting up there. But there is no policy. There are several of the conferences that do have that, because they were voted on or they were discussed individually. But in general speaking, it would be nice to have a in general policy. And I'd like to at least discuss that issue.
Okay, thank you. Vice President?
No, okay.
Director Sewell?
Just a request for a future agenda item. the industrial discharge. That was a pretty big number on the finance report, and I'm just interested to kind of get an update and see where we're at, and hopefully there's some better communication between all the parties.
Sounds great. Director Meyerhoffen, anything from you? All right. And I just have one comment. It's just a public reminder. On Saturday, alongside our Little League opening day, March 14th, we also have from 8 a.m. to 11:30, Andre, who came and spoke with us last month. He's the owner of the New Earth 5013 charity organization, and he has arranged for a community desert cleanup off of North Indian Canyon between 8 and 11:30 on Saturday, March 14th. And this location on North Indian Canyon is going to be focusing on the Morongo Wash. They want to make sure that, and I said, I think your flyer may be incorrect. It may be the Mission Creek Wash, but he wants to clean up the wash there on Indian Canyon. And so there'll be some cones. If anyone wants to join him and participate, it's open to the community. With that, unless there's anything else from our board, anything else from staff?
No.
And closed session?
So the items for closed session are item 22 and 23. 22 is conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation involving two potential cases. Item 23 is conference with labor negotiators. The agency designated representative is the President Amber Duff or her designee, and the unrepresented employee is the general manager.
All right. And so will we be staying here?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we take a
5-minute break? Does everyone need a 5-minute break then?
yes?
Okay. 5-minute break and we'll go to closed session and we'll be back. Thank you, Dory.
Everybody's coming back down now. Sorry. All right.
Here we go.
Outside.
All right. I think we're live. All right. If we could have Counselor go ahead and
Yes,
out of closed session, please.
the board met in closed session on item 22, conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation. There was no reportable action taken. Item 23 was conference with labor negotiators. The agency designated representative, the board president, Amber Duff, or designee, unrepresented employee general manager, and there was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Fantastic. With that and nothing more till Monday, we will see everyone then. This meeting is adjourned.